Live every day as if it were the last, because before you know it, time goes past and life's just not that long. Tell all you love that you love them so, because even if you do, they might not know, and one day we'll all be gone.
I have no right to much more than I need, while many millions worldwide suffer hunger, sickness, winter's cold, and have no home. The American dream of big house full of expensive stuff no one needs, fancy cars, driving and flying thousands of miles to vacation, eating meat and dairy, is a nightmare disaster for all life on earth. I enjoy living simply below the U.S. poverty level. I've owned no car for 45 years. I mostly walk and ride city buses. I have not traveled outside New Mexico for over 30 years. I eat no meat, no dairy. I enjoy my home, one rented room, 114 square feet with 6 windows in the house of a friend. How bad will the climate crisis get? How many massive disasters, hurricanes, forest fires, tornadoes, floods, droughts, before most people make huge changes in how they live? Regardless what corporations and governments do, regardless how my relatives, my neighbors, my dear friends waste and poison our only home, Mother Earth, I am responsible for how I live and for my example. Gandhi said, "We must be the change we wish to see in the world." Only white men wrote and signed the original U.S. Constitution. Most of those white men were rich. Some of them bought, sold, and owned enslaved black people. No women, no blacks, no poor people wrote and signed the original U.S. Constitution. No Latinos, no Jews, no Muslims wrote and signed the original U.S. Constitution. No Native Americans, no Asian Americans, no people openly gay or bisexual wrote and signed the original U.S. Constitution. It said nothing to stop the buying, selling, and owning of enslaved black people. Nothing to make sure women, people of color, poor people had the right to vote. Nothing to stop the U.S. mass murder of Native people and the stealing of their homelands. Nothing in the original U.S. Constitution to protect our Mother Earth, our only home. The original U.S. Constitution was written by and for rich, white men. U.S. white male supremacy did not begin with the Ku Klux Klan. U.S. white male supremacy did not begin with Donald Trump. The roots of this government, to the very beginning, were white male supremacy, slavery, greed, and war. Did my high school history teachers know these facts? Were my teachers afraid if they told us, the students, the truth? Some parents might raise hell and get those teachers fired. I strongly recommend the book People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn in our city library. And I also strongly recommend the book An Indigenous People's History of the United States. An Indigenous History, an Indigenous People's History of the United States by Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz. In December 2000, a horrible accident. A woman 8 months pregnant was thrown through the windshield of a truck onto the pavement. The jackknifing truck sliced her body in half. The live baby came out of his mother still attached to the umbilical cord. The baby's father, who was driving the truck, said the baby's survival was a miracle. A miracle? That the mother died an awful death of being cut in half? A miracle that the baby will grow up without his mother? And when the child is old enough, be shocked and saddened when told the horrible way his mother died? A miracle that the baby was slammed onto the concrete? An earthquake in a small town in El Salvador destroyed the church and killed hundreds under a landslide of dust and rubble. Survivors quickly said, God loves us. He left some of us alive to rebuild the church. Did God let hundreds die in agony, but kept alive some survivors to build the church building? Is a building more important to God than many human lives? Was it God's miracle that the earthquake did not kill everyone? People believe weird stupidity to keep from facing the scary truth. There is no God to answer our desperate, sincere prayers. Heaven is the hope of being again with loved ones after death. But we have no proof heaven is real. I don't want to bullshit myself that heaven is real. I have no proof. No matter how much I want to be with all my many loved ones in a better world beyond death, I have no proof. And for any of you who knew me many years ago, when I sincerely believed in God and heaven, I now apologize to you for spreading false advertising for God back then. April 4th, 1967, exactly 1 year before Prophet Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, he said, "My experience in the ghettos of the North, as I've walked among the desperate, rejected, and angry young men, I have told them that Molotov cocktails and rifles would not solve their problems. I've tried to offer them my deepest compassion, while maintaining my conviction that social change comes most meaningfully through nonviolent action. But they asked, and rightly so, what about Vietnam? They asked if our own nation wasn't using massive doses of violence to solve its problems, to bring about the changes it wanted. Their questions hit home, and I knew that I could never again raise my voice against the violence of the oppressed in the ghettos without having first spoken clearly to the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today, the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today, my own government. Prophet Martin Luther King Jr. also said that day, "The nations of this world are engaged in bitter, colossal contests for supremacy. I'm sad to say that the nation in which we live is the supreme culprit. God did not call America to engage in a senseless, unjust war as a war in Vietnam, and we're criminals in that war. We're called to speak for the weak, for the voiceless, for victims of our nation, and for those it calls enemy. So far, we may have killed 1 million of them, mostly children. What do they think as we test our latest weapons on them, just as the Germans tested out new tortures in the concentration camps of Europe? This business of burning human beings with napalm, of filling our nation's homes with orphans and widows, of sending men home from dark and bloody battlefields, physically handicapped, psychologically deranged, cannot be reconciled with wisdom, justice, and love." And after that powerful speech by Prophet Martin Luther King Jr., April 4th, 1967, at exactly 1 year before he was gunned down, the New York Times, the Washington Post, many newspapers nationwide condemned King's strong message of truth. Many whites, many blacks, the White House, even most of King's inner circle of black leaders condemned his strong message of truth. King suffered much hatred, many death threats. And why is that speech far less known, far less honored than his "I Have a Dream" speech? Sadly, most King celebrations today castrate his message. Sadly, most King celebrations do not emphasize King's strong stand against nuclear weapons, against the Vietnam War, against the evils of capitalism and the U.S. empire. Martin Luther King Jr. was a prophet, not a politician, not a rock star. King refused to silence his conscience. King refused to sell out his convictions to get the popular support of millions and the approval of the powerful. I will not pretend to enjoy what I do not enjoy to please any lover. I will not pretend to enjoy what I do not enjoy to please my closest friends. I will not watch football, boxing, violent movies, no matter if any lover or my closest friends watch them. I will not listen to heavy metal. I will not hang out for hours in bars of damn booze. Find things that both you and your lovers, find things that both you and your closest friends enjoy. My very close friend Johnny and I both enjoy Old Town. I enjoy watching people. All of us are an interesting human zoo. In Old Town, some Chicanos whose ancestors in New Mexico go back hundreds of years. In Old Town, tourists of all colors who have never been here before, never will be here again. Some of them on their honeymoon. And often in Old Town, a variety of live music, mariachis, country. Yes, my close friend Johnny and I both enjoy Old Town very much. Johnny and I enjoy long walks together. We enjoy going to cemeteries, Mount Calvary Cemetery. Johnny's mother, Johnny's birth father, Johnny's stepfather, Johnny's adopted father, all four are buried in Mount Calvary Cemetery on Edith, north of Odelia. My dear foster son, Joe Villalobos, is buried there. My beloved friend, Daniel Archibek, many other friends at Mount Calvary Cemetery and Sunset Memorial Park, just north of Mount Calvary Cemetery. Find things to do together that you and your lovers, you and your friends both enjoy. And never, 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 never pretend to enjoy what you do not enjoy just to please any friend or lover. Be real. Tell the truth. If you lie to your friend or your lover saying, oh, yes, let's go, I enjoy it, and you don't really enjoy it, and they find out that you're lying, they may think, well, how many other things is this person lying about to me? Male gorillas fuck each other in the ass. Female grizzly bears live as couples, raise families together. Male flamingo birds live as couples. Female flamingo birds live as couples. And even lifelong male couples, lifelong female couples are in species of animals that have no lifelong male-female couples. So never again swallow the stupid lie that homosexuality and bisexuality are not natural. Homosexuality, bisexuality are common, very common, among animals and as natural as heterosexuality. Male animals have anal and oral sex with each other. Male animals masturbate each other. Male animals court and flirt with each other. Check out the amazing book, Biological Exuberance, from our library, about homosexuality and bisexuality, scientifically documented in more than 450 species of mammals, birds, reptiles, insects, and other animals worldwide. 450 species of mammals, birds, reptiles, insects, and other animals worldwide. Biological Exuberance by author Bruce Bagamiel, more than 700 pages he drew from research conducted over the past 200 years. Bagamiel shows that animals engage in all kinds of sex that is not involved with having babies. And I would not give up my strong romantic attraction to certain men for all the money, all the fame in this world. The main purpose of sex for us humans is affectionate, pleasurable connection between persons, female and female, female and male, male and male. If it were not for the terrible taboos from religion, family, friends, society, even now in 2024, against sex between men, most, if not all men, would be strongly sexually attracted to at least one male during their lifetime and would enjoy sex and romance with him, even if they also greatly enjoy sex and romance with women. Sex between men would become at least as popular as baseball, basketball, soccer, wrestling. Many guys who yell faggot at someone else have sex with guys, or they want to, but they do not have the balls to say so. And some men are terrified of their own deep hidden desires for sex with men. And some guys are scared if they tried it once with a guy, they would enjoy it so much they would want to keep on having sex with guys, even if they also greatly enjoy sex and romance with women. I would be ashamed to be a boxer. I would be ashamed to be a football player injuring men. I would be ashamed to be a soldier killing men and women and kids in war. Why cheer? Why honor men injuring and killing men? Why curse men making each other's bodies feel good and being in love with men? Wars have killed millions of soldiers for thousands of years. And how many of those soldiers would not have become soldiers if they had known they would be killed? In World War II, how many U.S. soldiers killing and dying knew that Henry Ford was a good friend of Hitler's? Hitler kept Ford's picture in his office. Did you ever hear that in history class in school? The Ford Motor Company had U.S. government permission to make Nazi tanks. The ITT Corporation, based in the United States, had designed and built Nazi phone and radio systems and supplied parts for German bombs. A U.S. presidential order licensed U.S. companies to trade with the Nazis. General Motors, DuPont, Standard Oil of New Jersey, Davis Oil Company, Chase National Bank did business with Hitler. The same U.S. companies were also making huge profits supplying the U.S. government. These U.S. companies got filthy rich off the murder of millions of people on both sides. War is the worst of all crimes. Never become a soldier for any government on earth. All governments lie when at war. 1/3 to 1/2 of federal income tax in this country goes for war. I have paid no federal income tax, not one damn bloody penny, for 45 years. And I never will. Dale Gunther shot and killed my grandparents, my father's parents, June 25th, 1976. My grandfather, Lloyd Schrader, was 85. My grandmother, Annie Schrader, was 82. They were retired farmers in northern Illinois, west of Chicago. Dale Gunther was a severely abused 18-year-old white man from that area. Dale shot my grandparents in bed as he stood outside their bedroom window. For almost 6 years, our family did not know who murdered my grandparents. In 1982, Dale was arrested. Dale confessed to murdering my grandparents. Months after that, I called the jail chaplain. I asked the jail chaplain if Dale was going to church services. The jail chaplain told me Dale was attending church services. So I thought Dale might truly regret killing my grandparents. I wrote to Dale, offering him my forgiveness, my friendship. If someday someone would murder me, I ask my family, I ask my friends to offer forgiveness and friendship to whoever kills me, especially if that person strongly regrets having killed me. And Dale wrote me in response to my letter. He deeply repented for killing my grandparents. And I visited Dale twice in prison. The first time, tears came to Dale's eyes. He greatly appreciated my forgiveness, my friendship. And Dale suffered terrible depression from having flashbacks of shooting and killing my grandparents, the bloody, evil scene that he had created. And memory is the worst punishment for anyone with a strong conscience. And our consciences are turned on by people who love us deeply. As Dale looked back to that hellish night, June 25th, 1976, he did not know why he murdered my grandparents. Dale wanted to get out of prison someday and show people he could live a good life. Dale wrote a sincere letter of apology to our family. And 2 area newspapers there in Illinois published his letter. In November 1989, when he was 31, Dale killed himself in prison. And after Dale died, Dale's mother, whom I never met, wrote me thanking me for befriending her son, Dale. I have 60 letters at home that Dale wrote me from prison. Dale was not born evil. No one is born evil. Sadly, Dale's father beat Dale as a kid. Hurt people hurt other people unless and until they heal inside. With much help, much time, severely abused people can heal, can change. I never met Dale's father. Did Dale's father ever realize, especially after Dale was arrested for murdering my grandparents, how beating his son Dale made Dale violent and dangerous? Was Dale's father beaten as a kid by his father? Did beating kids go back generations in that family? I don't know. Many questions. Dale's mother was a Sunday school teacher. Why did she not stop Dale's father from beating Dale? Was Dale's mother afraid of Dale's father? Did he beat her also? I don't know. Did Dale's mother believe the Bible's evil verse in Proverbs urging fathers to beat their sons? I am so glad my father did not beat me. I am so glad my father did not beat me. Maybe one time my father hit me. And imagine if Dale's father had never beaten Dale. Imagine if Dale's father had warmly hugged Dale every day instead. Parents, never beat, never hit your sons or your daughters. Fathers and mothers, hug warmly both your sons and your daughters every day. Sadly, I never remember my father hugging me when I was a boy growing up. I hugged my dad many times, many years later, when I was an adult. And the very last time I saw my dad alive, weeks before he died, when he was 81 and I was 48, he made the first move to hug me or kiss me as I left our farm in Illinois to come back to Albuquerque. Dale Gunther's older brother was a U.S. soldier. I'm not sure if Dale's brother was in Vietnam. If his brother was in combat in Vietnam, Dale's brother may have killed kids and grandparents as a U.S. soldier. Are grandparents in Vietnam less human, less precious than my U.S. white grandparents? In Dale's letters, Dale opened his life to me. In school, Dale did not like to shower with other boys. Why? Because his cock was so small. So Dale at 18 did not measure up as a man in the eyes of his father who beat him. He did not measure up as a man in the eyes of his older brother who may have seen Dale as a punk kid. He did not measure up as a man in the eyes of his male schoolmates. He was a kid with a small cock. And Dale had a girlfriend. They later had children. Dale told me, if they do not want us to kill people, why do they make movies about killing? Sadly, actors get filthy rich glamorizing murder. Actors make millions of dollars making murder look cool and exciting. And I foolishly wasted many precious hours as a teenager, addicted to violent westerns on television. And now I would not watch those TV westerns under normal conditions for $1,000 an hour. With much help, we can wake up. We can make huge, good changes in our lives. Fortunately, my father did not beat me. Dale's father beat Dale. And just as Dale, as a kid, was a helpless victim of his father's evil cruelty, Dale made my grandparents helpless victims of his evil cruelty when he shot and killed them in bed. Imagine if U.S. presidents and U.S. generals publicly repented and apologized for murdering people in U.S. wars, as Dale publicly repented and apologized for murdering my grandparents. Sadly, many church-goers who knew my grandparents probably considered Dale as a no-good, hopeless killer. But some of these church people were proud to have their sons and daughters or their grandchildren become U.S. soldiers, trained and equipped as professional hired killers to murder on command with no conscience. Did any of these churchgoers who knew my grandparents realize how federal income tax dollars pay for the murder of grandparents in U.S. wars? None of us can say for sure we would not have committed the evil Dale committed if we had suffered the severe abuse he suffered. We all are more than the worst thing we did, or almost did. I strongly oppose all wars by the United States, by Israel, by Russia, or any other government. I refuse to go murder people and to die in the Vietnam War. The draft board allowed me to do 2 years of non-military community service instead of becoming a U.S. soldier killer. I worked with youth in a farm worker community in Arizona for over a year. And then I transferred here to Albuquerque to finish my 2 years of non-military community service. And that's how I first moved to Albuquerque, June 1970, 54 years ago. And I later realized that for me, to pay federal income tax, to train and equip young people to become professional hired killers to murder on command with no conscience would be more evil than being a soldier myself. For years, I've enjoyed living simply below the federal income taxable level and below the U.S. poverty level. I have paid no federal income tax for U.S. wars for 45 years. No salary on earth is worth selling your brain and your conscience to design nuclear bombs at Sandia Weapons Lab or Los Alamos Weapons Lab. U.S. nuclear bombs prepare to murder far more moms, dads, kids than all the wars of human history combined. U.S. nuclear bombs prepare to murder many times more moms, dads, kids than Hitler and the Nazis killed in gas ovens, concentration camps, and World War II. U.S. nuclear bombs prepare to murder far more people than all the street gangs, all the drunk drivers, all the drug cartels, all the school shooters, all the violent spouses, all the serial killers, ISIS, the KKK, and Mafia combined murder. Is this treating other people as we want to be treated? Is this loving our neighbors as we love ourselves? Is this doing good to our enemies? The United States is the only nation ever to atom bomb cities of people. And why would any community leader in Albuquerque be proud of Sandia Weapons Lab? Why would anyone with a conscience work at Sandia Weapons Lab? A life-giving job at minimum wage is 1 trillion times better than a mass murder job at Sandia Weapons Lab. People spend about $1 billion. That's 1,000 millions, $1 billion on booze every year in New Mexico. Enough booze to fill 72 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Sadly, New Mexico has the highest rate of all 50 states of people killed by booze, from drunk driving, chronic disease. Booze has devastated the lives and killed many of my dear friends. Steve Martinez here in Albuquerque, 59 years old. Meme Villegas in Illinois, 59 years old, killed by booze. Dear friends of mine. A worldwide study in 195 nations released the results in 2018. There is no safe level of drinking booze. Zero. Nada. Booze lowers the sex hormone testosterone. So why would sex-loving persons drink booze? Many lean, attractive bodies will not stay lean and attractive if they keep on boozing and eating shit. Imagine if all the $1 billion New Mexico spends every year on booze instead helped hungry, homeless persons here and across the world. And I urge all community leaders, I urge all musicians, all athletes, to pledge publicly to drink no booze the rest of their lives. Musicians, stop singing words glamorizing booze, glamorizing tequila. Stop it. Our example can influence those who know us. I have drunk no booze for many years. Booze causes awful family fights, ruined romances, horrible holiday memories. And I don't want to make it easier for me to say things or to do things that I later will terribly regret. Every one of us is capable of terrifying violence. Every one of us is capable of murder in a moment of insane rage. And every one of us is also capable of marvelous compassion, of wonderful good. And we need to always see the evil around us and within us. But we need to concentrate mainly on the good around us and within us. It's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. And violence is a terrible human problem. It's not just a male problem. Hell no. Violence is a terrible problem of both men and women. No one is born evil. If we think of persons who have hurt us the most, if we think of persons who have committed huge bloody atrocities, if I had suffered the childhoods they suffered, if I had suffered the poison influences they later suffered, if I had not had the many, 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 many people, the great variety of people who have taught me, loved me, inspired me, I might have committed the same evils they committed. With much help from each other, we can wake up. We can turn from evil to good. If you really want to eat healthy and live healthy, get rid of all the damn packaged, canned, bottled, slow poison, processed crap in your house. Absolutely no sodas, no booze, no damn chips of any kind, no junk food, no processed crap. Get rid of it if you're serious about living healthy, eating healthy. If you don't have it around, you can't eat it if you get the craving. Get rid of all fast food, all factory fake foods containing added sugar, artificial sweeteners, processed vegetable oils, corn oil, soybean oil, peanut oil. These oils often have been heated to high temperatures, the good stuff taken out, the bad stuff added. I have none of that shit in my one-room home. And never eat cooked fat. Cooked fat clogs up the blood, clogs up the arteries, the lymphatic system. Cooked fat often make people fat. But eating only raw plant fats, flaxseed, pumpkin seeds, blended or chewed, eating freshly shelled nuts can help lose fat. Raw plant fat can help lose the fat of our bodies. Why? Because raw plant fats have enzymes which cause body fat to be burned. Also, of course, very good plant fats, raw plant fats, are avocados. And I ate 2 this morning on my way walking here. Why would any man want to own a gun? Why? Why are many men in love with their guns? Why would any man want to to hunt and kill animals unless he has nothing else to eat? Why do many men find it hard to admit when they're wrong and to apologize? Why are many men emotionally constipated, ashamed to be seen crying when their closest loved ones die? Ashamed to be seen crying when watching a heart-touching movie or listening to beautiful music? Why are many men ashamed to admit they love flowers? Ashamed to wear bright colors? Why? Why? Some male animals are more colorful than the females. Why are many men afraid to talk about death and dying? Why are many men afraid to dance unless they have booze in their belly? Why do many men talk mainly sports, cars, neighbors with their men friends? Nothing intensely personal. Why are many men afraid to open their hearts deeply to their closest men friends? Why are many men who are truly in love with women afraid to face their romantic attraction also to some men? Why are many men ashamed to warmly hug their teenage sons, their teenage daughters? With much help, we can wake up. We men can change, and many have. We can set ourselves free to be fully human. A nurse for sick children wrote this open letter to parents whose child died. She says, "I won't say I know how you feel, because I don't. I've lost parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and friends, but I've never lost a child. So how can I say I know how you feel? I won't say you'll get over it, because you won't. Life will have to go on. The washing, cooking, cleaning, the common routine, these chores will take your mind off your loved one, but the hurt will still be there. I won't say your other children will be a comfort to you, because they may not be. Many mothers," this nurse of sick children says, "many mothers I've talked to say that after they lost a child, they easily lose their temper with their remaining children. Some even feel resentful that they're alive and healthy when that other child is not. I won't say, never mind, you're young enough to have another baby, because that won't help. A new baby will fill your hours, keep you busy, give you sleepless nights, but it will not replace the one you have lost." You may hear all of these platitudes from your friends, your relatives. They think they're helping. They don't know what else to say. You will find out who your true friends are at this time. Many will avoid you because they can't face you. Others will talk about the weather, the holidays, school, concert, but never about your child who died. Never about how are you coping. So what will I say? This nurse of sick children writes, I will say, I'm here, I care, anytime, anywhere. I'll cry with you if need be. I'll talk about your loved one. We'll laugh about the good memories. I won't mind how long you grieve. I won't tell you to pull yourself together. No, I do not know how you feel, but with sharing, perhaps I will learn a little of what you're going through. And perhaps you will feel comfortable with me and find your burden has eased. Try me. I strongly compliment Roman Catholic Archbishop John Wester here in New Mexico for his strong public stand against nuclear weapons. And I urge all religious leaders and other community leaders to have the conscience, the courage to damn publicly all nuclear weapons, including Sandia Nuclear Weapons Lab and Los Alamos Nuclear Weapons Lab. The worst overpopulation problem on earth is not in India, not in Africa, not in China. The worst overpopulation problem on earth is in the United States because most people here consume, pollute far more per person than most people in India, Africa, or China. Why make more babies? If you already have kids, love them, care for them. Teach them by your example to enjoy living simply and fairly in our world family of 8 billion. For many reasons, I am glad I made no babies. Millions of people are touch-starved. Millions are seldom, if ever, hugged and touched with affection. Warm hugs can help blood pressure. Warm hugs can help heart rate, depression, anxiety. Hating myself when I wrong someone does not make me a better person. We become better to other people when we sincerely apologize for wronging them and then forgiving ourselves. We need to be a loving parent to ourselves when we do wrong. And just as we need to love and forgive others, we need to start with ourselves, becoming our own best friend, our own loving parent. We all are more than the worst thing we ever did, or almost did. I strongly thank Mark, Eddie, Travis for helping me many dozens of times with this program, running the cameras, the high-tech controls. I thank them. And I thank you for watching. And feel free to stop me anytime you see me, if you want to, when I'm out and about. I love personal questions. I love heart-to-heart conversations. To your health, my fresh piss.
Tell all you love that you love them so, because even if you do, they might not know, and one day we'll all be gone. Taste the wind, don't let it blow on by. Sing songs of love, let the music get you high, and when it's said and done, you'll know the sun will shine on. And when it's said and done, you'll know the sun will shine on.